Well, Deep Purple has released their 21st studio album, Whoosh. Let's check it out. Hi, welcome back to Classic Guitar Rock. I'm Jeremy, and I wanted to do a quick review of the new Deep Purple album. And let me talk about Deep Purple, because Deep Purple is one of these bands, to be honest, Led Zeppelin kind of falls in this camp for me. I understand the importance of Deep Purple, like I understand the importance of Led Zeppelin. Like I understand the importance of Pink Floyd. You know, there are these massive bands that are just kind of viewed as titans in classic rock. And while I recognize the importance, I can't say that I've been a huge fan of Deep Purple. I mean, there's several tracks I love, you know, Highway Star, Woman from Tokyo, Smoke on the... I mean, there's the greatest hits, and I like those as much as anyone. Burn, one of my favorite Deep Purple songs. But to actually sit down and listen to an album all the way through, it's tough for me to do with Deep Purple. I've never really, you know, parts of Machine Head I really like, songs on In Rock I really like, but to sit down from start to finish with a Deep Purple album, it's tough for me to do because there's just stuff that I don't dig. Let me just tell you, this is the first Deep Purple album that I have listened to from start to finish and enjoyed it all the way through. I love this album, and I have read mixed reviews. Overall, I think it's been pretty well received, but I've seen some lukewarm reviews. I love this album. I think this is a great album. I am going to say, again, I'm not the world's biggest diehard Deep Purple fan. I'm going to say right now, this is my favorite Deep Purple album. I like it that much. And the curse and the blessing of much of classic rock is the nature of the business has changed so much that we fixate on these brief little periods of time. In the grand scope of Deep Purple, think about this. They started, 68, 69? Blackmore was gone by 75? Okay? So what's that, 7 years? He came back in 85, and they were together for another 4 or 5 years with Blackmore? So Blackmore was in Deep Purple, 10 years, maybe 11 years, something like that. I could be off a year or two. Steve Morse has been in Deep Purple since 1995. Okay? Steve Morse has done more albums than Ritchie Blackmore, has been in the band longer than Ritchie Blackmore. And yet, to most people, you know, Deep Purple ended with Blackmore, which is so stupid because, and guys, I love Ritchie Blackmore. I think Steve Morse is better. I got to say it. And true, they don't have the album sales, but that's because the music industry changed. None of the classic bands have album sales, but Deep Purple has continued, other than a brief period where they weren't together, they have continued to put out albums and good albums. I've gone back over the last couple weeks and listened not to their old albums, but listened to their previous 4, 5, 6 albums. And they're good. That's good music that this band that's been together now, this unit, since Steve Moore, other than Don Airey has been in and out, but since John Lord died, Don Airey's been in there. This lineup's been together since 95. Solid. And yet we look back and say, oh, Blackmore's not on there. I don't like it, right? Which is too bad because I have just been going back and listening to their current albums, right, over the last 5-10 years, and there's some good stuff out there. Some great concerts out on YouTube to watch, and Steve Morse is just top notch. But anyways, I wanted to rant a little bit about Deep Purple and this mindset that and we're bad, right? It's us classic rock fans. Well, if it doesn't have all the original members, it's crap. Okay, and I hate that because we're missing out on a lot of good music. This album, Whoosh, is just a really good album. And let me just go kind of track by track through some of these. It opens with a song called "Throw the Bones." That was a single that was released. This came out, by the way, on I think August 7th was when it was released. Yeah, August 7th. Starts with "Throw My Bones," which was a single that was released. Rockin' tune, great song. Goes into a song called "Drop the Weapon." Rockin' tune. "We're All the Same in the Dark," another great tune. Here's a song that's kind of mid-tempo called "Nothing at All," which surprisingly some people have been not wild about this. I think it's one of the best songs on the album. The interplay, and this is one of the high points of the album, the interplay between Don Airey and Steve Morse is incredible. Better than I ever thought it was with Blackmore and John Lord. Sorry. And I like Don Airey better than John Lord. Sorry. I know this is blasphemy. I'm speaking to a lot of these diehard Deep Purple fans, but Don Airey is phenomenal on this album. In fact, he's maybe as much as I like Steve Morse, Don Airey is incredible on this album. He's even got a keyboard solo in one of the songs. I think it's "Long Way Around." Can't remember. But in one of these songs, it's like a Dennis DeYoung keyboard solo, which just, you don't hear that on Deep Purple, but it sounds awesome. The tones he's using, obviously he's got a solid Hammond sound, John Lord, type sound on some of the songs, but he's got a lot of different sounds and things. It's just Don Airey's phenomenal on this album. Steve Morse is great. Understated. To be honest, I'd like to hear a little more Steve Morse on here. And of course you got Ian Pace and Roger Glover, who just one of the most solid rhythm sections you're going to hear. And Ian Gillan. You know what I love about Ian Gillan? Ian Gillan is hilarious. Okay, he is the sense of humor, and a lot of it just flies by and you don't realize. You got to go back and listen to a lot of it. He's just a very funny guy. And he's in his 70s, and you get the impression listening to this album that these guys are completely comfortable in their own skin, right? They've been doing this a long time. They don't need to show off. They don't need to impress anyone. They just put out a great album. And I digress. I was walking through the tracks there. But that "Nothing at All" song was great. Again, the interplay between Steve Morse and Don Airey is phenomenal. What the What is a great song. It's a boogie, 1-4-5 boogie type song, and it's fun. To be honest, it's my least favorite song on the track, but not bad at all. It's just not as original as some of the other songs. But after What the What comes in, we've got the next four songs. This is, to me, this is the cream of the crop on this album. We've got "The Long Way Round." We've got "The Power of the Moon," which is maybe my favorite song. Here's what Deep Purple does really well. They even did this on "Perfect Strangers," dun 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 dun. The drama, the tension. And this is one of those songs that just has the tension, the drama. It's got kind of a Phrygian, Middle Eastern kind of melody. Phenomenal song. Love it. "Power of the Moon." Then that goes into a little brief minute and a half tune called "Remission Possible." Just kind of a jam. It's cool. But then it goes into "Man Alive." So my favorites on the song, man, it's hard for me to say because there's so many songs that I like. I kind of go back and forth between "The Power of the Moon" and "Man Alive" as my favorite tracks. Again, "Man Alive," that sense of drama, it's just, they do it like no one else can. And I won't blow it for you, but the title of the album comes from this song, but it's really good. And the address, and I didn't know this. And the address is an instrumental, and it makes sense now that I see it because it had a very traditional Deep Purple sound. Well, come to find out that song was originally it appeared as the opening track on the band's 1968 debut album Shades of Deep Purple. So that was even pre Ian Gillan. Ian Pace was the only one in the band. So it's a revisitation of that song, and it's a solid instrumental. Got some great keyboard going, got great drums, got great Steve Morse guitar playing on it. It's a fun song. And then the last track, at least on the version I have, is Dancing in My Sleep, which is a cool song, and it's got kind of an electronic little a different vibe than you're used to hearing from Deep Purple. But overall, do yourself a favor and at least stream it. Go out to Spotify and listen to this album. It's just, the production's great. It's Bob Ezrin. This is the third album they've done with him, and of course Bob Ezrin has produced. He did some Kiss album. I don't know who all. He's done lots of people. That's a name you hear, not coming to my mind who all he's produced, but a lot of big bands that he's worked with. This is a great album, and it sounds like Deep Purple. I mean, it's got the meat and potatoes that we're all familiar with from Deep Purple. It's got the great drumming. It's got the keyboards. It's got the classic guitar sound. I mean, it's all the elements are there for Deep Purple diehards. Now, whether or not they accept it without Richie, that's up to them, but it's their loss if they don't, right? Because this is a great album. These guys are all in their 70s, except Steve Morse. He's in his 60s. He's the baby in the band. But man, do yourself a favor, check it out. And I'm not a diehard Deep Purple fan, and maybe that's why I'm not coming to it with the baggage that some Deep Purple fans might. To listen to it from front to back for the pure sonic enjoyment, this is a great album, and I'd give it 3 thumbs up if I could. 2 thumbs up. Great album. Check it out. Love to hear what you think. Leave your comments, and if you haven't done so yet, take a minute and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Classic Guitar Rock. Bye-bye.